Most people read the headlines. I read the small print. This is Footnotes, where I find the biggest stories in the smallest detail. It was 1954, and a lanky, soft-spoken teenager from Leland, Mississippi was desperate to get his foot in the door of the brand new world of television. He didn't particularly care what he did, as long as it involved a camera. He heard about a local television station in Washington, D.C. that was looking for someone to perform with puppets on a kids' show. Now, this young man had never done anything with puppets. He didn't even like puppets. To him, the traditional wooden marionettes of the era were stiff, lifeless, and frankly a bit creepy. They didn't belong on a modern television screen, but he wanted that job. So, he took an old, discarded pale green coat that belonged to his mother. He grabbed a pair of scissors, cut it up, and stuffed a sliced-in-half ping-pong ball into the fabric for eyes. He slipped his hand inside, and suddenly, that dead fabric came to life. Because his hand was inside the head, the mouth could move perfectly with human speech. The face could wrinkle, express sadness, or widen with absolute joy. He got the job. But as the years rolled on, our young entertainer grew frustrated. The entertainment executives of the 1960s looked at his expressive fabric creation and said, "Junior, these are nice, but puppets are for children. Grown-ups won't watch this." He tried everything to prove them wrong. He made commercials for coffee. He did guest spots on late-night talk shows. And he even landed a regular gig on a brand-new counterculture comedy show called Saturday Night Live. But still, the American networks refused to give him his own primetime show. They insisted adults would never connect with characters made of foam and fleece. Desperate, broke, and facing the death of his dream, he had to leave the United States entirely. He packed up his characters and flew across the Atlantic Ocean to London, where a British producer finally decided to take a gamble on him. They built a theater. They booked guest stars. And in 1976, the weekly variety show finally hit the airwaves. The executives back home braced for a flop, but instead something miraculous happened. Adults didn't just watch the show, they fell in love with it. They tuned in by the millions to watch a dramatic, self-absorbed pig romance a calm, sensible frog. They watched a fuzzy blue monster eat everything in sight, and a wild, unhinged drummer lose his mind. It became the most watched weekly television program in human history, reaching over 235 million viewers in more than 100 countries. The world didn't see foam and felt. They saw pieces of themselves, our anxieties, our hopes, our flaws, and our capacity for kindness. The young man, who didn't even like puppets, who was told his creations were just for kids, had created an international phenomenon. He gave us a world where it wasn't easy being green, but where we all wanted to connect anyway. And that pale green coat he cut up in 1954, that little green creature went on to receive a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, speak at the Oxford Union, and inspired generations of children to keep dreaming. You know the frog, and now you know the man who gave him a heartbeat. His name? Jim Henson. I'm Brenda. And never believe people when they tell you your idea will end up just being a footnote in history.